Welcome back, guys. This is lesson 8 on Introduction to Functions. This is the last section in this unit, so you know what that means. We've got a test coming up. So make sure you're staying up to date. Couple of learning targets for you. We're going to be learning how to graph ordered pairs and also graphing functions from ordered pairs. Let's jump in with some vocabulary. Okay, so we have what's called a coordinate plane. The coordinate plane is made up of two different axes. We have an x-axis and a y-axis. Hopefully you know that the x-axis is the horizontal. Okay, that's this one. I'm going to put it over here, I think. This one's the x-axis. The vertical axis is the y-axis. Okay, that's the one that goes up and down. And then that splits the quadrant or the coordinate plane into 4 quadrants. Okay, the first quadrant is this one where x and y are both positive, and then we go around counterclockwise. Quadrant 2 is here, quadrant 3 is here, and quadrant 4 is here. Okay, and then we have something called the origin. Now the origin is the spot where those two axes cross, right there. Okay, it has the coordinate 0, 0. When we're writing ordered pairs, we always write the x coordinate first and the y coordinate last. Now, x numbers go left and right, y coordinates go up and down. Okay, so I'll explain that some more in a minute. First of all, let's practice naming which quadrant the point is in. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little cheat sheet here. I'm going to go, this is quadrant 1. And we always use Roman numerals. I don't know why. You could just use numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't even think they teach Roman numerals anymore. I'm not sure if you are familiar with these or not, or if this looks really weird to you. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So point W. Point W is right here. What quadrant is that in? That is in quadrant 2, right? So let me get the red one here. This one's in quadrant 2. Letter B says point S. Down here, that's quadrant 4. I'll use numbers. Maybe that's more clear for you. Point P down here, that was quadrant 3. Point T. Ooh, point T is on the y-axis. So which quadrant? It's none. It's not in a quadrant. It's on an axis. How about point V? Where's V? Right here, quadrant 3. And point U, up here in quadrant 1, right? So that's how you identify the quadrant. Pretty straightforward. So this one, what I want you to do is to graph the coordinate pairs and label which quadrant they're in. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do first of all, I should have done this ahead of time, but you're going to get to see me do this on the fly, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and create a point here. There we go. And I'm going to make it so that, this is kind of cool, you get to see this. I'll put it over here off to the side. Oh, and it's going to give me some grief here. This is the bad part about doing things on the fly, right? Okay, so now I can duplicate that thing. So 8, negative 3. So this is the x coordinate, this is the y coordinate, and this one's positive. The 8 is positive. I'm going to, oh, I did it again. I hate when it does this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way so I can just see just the coordinates. I don't want to see all the words. There we go. That's where I want it. Okay, so 8, negative 3. So you always start at the origin. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of these dots and I'm going to start at the origin. On the x-axis, I'm going to go 8 units to the right. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to be right here. And then on the y-axis, it says it goes down 3. So now I'm going to take that thing and go down 3. 1, 2, 3. Negative direction is down, right? And positive direction is up. Positive direction is right. Negative direction is left. So maybe I should label that. That would probably be helpful too. This is positive. This is positive. This is negative. And this is negative down here. Okay. The next point, oh, and we got to put the letter in there, right? That was letter X. So I better label that. This is where point X is going to be. What quadrant did that end up in? That ended up in quadrant 4, right? Point B, or letter B, is point Y. So this one says we're going to go 5 in a negative X direction. So a negative X direction is left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from there, I'm going to go 4 is positive in a positive Y direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it ends up being right there. And we want to label that one letter Y, right? What quadrant did it end up in? That ended up in quadrant 2. So this one's in quadrant 2. Point Z. That one says go 2 in a negative X direction. A negative X direction is left, so I go 1, 2. And then the Y direction, it says go negative 8, so that's down. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right down here, oh boy, that's going to be almost off my screen. I have to scroll a little bit here for you. Hang in there with me. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So I need it to be right on that red line where the reds cross. There you go. And what letter was that one? Was that Z? Yep, that one was a Z. So I want my red marker here. Let's come back down. Label that one Z. There you go. Okay, and one more to go, right? Oh, that was in quadrant 3, right? Negative, negative is quadrant 3. This one is point A, and this one says don't go anywhere in the X direction. So start off at the origin. Don't go left or right. Just leave it there. And then go 7 in a negative Y direction. So that's down. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right there. And that is point A, right? If I can get that a little closer. There we go. And so I want to label that one point A. And that one is in no quadrant, right? That one's on the axis. So he doesn't get a quadrant. Functions. So here we're starting to get into functions. This is the majority of what we're going to talk about this year. And in a function, it's kind of like a machine, okay, where you have an input and an output. And in a function, the output is always determined by the input. So linear equations are functions where y is the output, x is the input. Okay? So these inputs and outputs we can graph. They make ordered pairs, and so we can graph those. So here's an example for you. I have y equals 2x minus 4. So we can figure out what the outputs are based on the inputs. So we can pick any inputs we want. I've given you 4 different inputs here, and I want you to put those values into the equation and figure out what comes out. Okay? So if I put in a negative 1 right here, then that says y equals 2 times negative 1 minus 4, right? So that's negative 2 minus 4, which is negative 6, right? So this is the ordered pair, negative 1, negative 6. Okay? What if we put in a 0 right here? Then we'd have y equals 0 minus 4, which is minus 4. So that's the ordered pair 0 minus 4. If we put in a 1, we have y equals 2 times 1 minus 4. Well, that's 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. So 1 comma negative 2 is another ordered pair. What if I put in 2? Y equals 2 times 2 minus 4. Well, that's 4 minus 4, which is 0, right? So that ordered pair is 2 comma 0. We put in a 2, we got out a 0. So let's go ahead and plot those points and see what this thing looks like. I'm going to get rid of all this mess. I'll try to get rid of all this mess. It's not going to let me get rid of that one. Oh well. Ooh, that's lovely, isn't it? Now I can get rid of it. There we go. Never give up. Okay, so negative 1, negative 6. Start at the origin. A negative 1 on the x-axis is left, and a negative 6 on the y-axis is down. So go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's going to be off my graph, right? So just estimate that. I'm not going to be able to do this all the way out here. Let's do this. I can extend my page. It's actually going to end up being like right there, right? So there's 1 point, -1, -6. The next point is 0, -4. So start at the origin. Don't go left or right, right? If it's a 0, you don't go left or right. -4 is down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that one's going to be right there. And the next one is 1, -2. So from the origin, go +1 in the x direction. Which way is +1? That's right. And then from there, we go down 2. So then I'm going to move it down 2. And then the last one is 2, 0. So from the origin, it says go 2 in a positive x direction, which is right. And then don't go anywhere up or down, just leave it there. So there we go. So we've completed the table, okay, and we've plotted those points. And what do you think? Does that form a line? And I think it actually does, right? So I think that would be our line. Here's another one for you. Go ahead and see if you can come up with these on your own. And pause the video, see if you can do this one on your own, and then I'll give you the answers when you come back. All right, hope you gave that a try. Y equals the absolute value of x plus 1. So if I plug in, I've got some inputs for you here. Y equals, oops, I got to grab my marker here. Y equals absolute value of -3 plus 1. What's -3 plus 1? It's the absolute value of -2, right? What's the absolute value of -2? It's just 2. So that comes out of 2. So our ordered pair then is -3, +2. Okay? What if we put in a -2? Y equals -2 plus 1. And we get out -2 plus 1 is -1. That gives us a +1, right? So we have -2, comma 1. You can probably hear my dogs in the background. Next one is -1. So y equals absolute value of -1 plus 1. So that's a 0. And the absolute value of 0 is 0. So that one's a 0. So the ordered pair is -1, 0. Plug in a 0. We get out a 1. So this is the point 0, 1. And I'm going to zip through these. This one's going to give us a 2. So that's the point 1, comma 2. And the last one is going to be a 3. So that's the point 2, comma 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and start graphing those. So -3, 2. Start at 0, 0. -3 is left. +2 is up. Right about there. Okay, next one is -2, 1. Left 2, up 1. Right there. Next one is -1, 0. Next one is 0, 1. So don't go left or right, but go up 1. And the next one is 1, 2. So start at the origin. 1 to the right, up 2. And the very last one is 2, 3. Start at the origin, go 2 to the right, up 3. And you get a nice little V shape. So one of the things I would like you to know is that when you have absolute value problems that you're graphing, you always get a V. Okay? So if you're only getting a line, you got to make sure you get enough negative values so that you can see the whole graph. That's it for this one. See you next time.